Chapter 10 Unveil. Ben sits on his boat, sipping a beer and watching the shattered sunlight dance across the surface of the lake. From out here on the water, there's no sign anywhere of the impending doom that has been haunting him all week. The birds are singing in the trees, and the stream that feeds the lake trickles merrily in the distance. In this place, these moments, there is always peace. It's not as cold today as it has been, a rare blessing of the state's chaotic weather. He leans back and lets the sun warm his face. Maybe this serenity is a sign from God that things will get better, that the sun will always rise tomorrow. Maybe all this terror is just some kind of test. Or maybe more likely, it's all just a bunch of chaos. A tangled web of random probabilities converging mindlessly, unbiased and unyielding into eventuality. Then again, maybe that's all God is in the end. A wild, intricate trend of probabilities by which fate unfurls itself, like rivers returning to the ocean, or stars dying and reforming in the emptiness, spitting out the ingredients by which fantastic things of ever-growing complexities can form. A mindless force, but motherly, and sometimes even merciful. He hears a bloop. Something is caught on the hook. He sits up and grabs the fishing pole. Whatever's on the end is big. It tugs and wrestles against him as he reels it in, finally succumbing to the pole as he drags it out of the water. At the end of the line dangles something long and sickly pink. He chokes at the sight. His first thought is that something in the water has mutated the worm impaled on the hook. And then the creature looks up at him, its dark eyes and gaping mouth regarding him with a certain familiarity. It slithers up onto the boat and begins to hack and retch, spitting the bloodied hook out of its mouth with a juicy sputter. I'm dreaming, Ben realizes. The worm begins to sing.
Row, row, row the boat gentle down the stream.
It sways and giggles.
Merrily, 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 merrily.
Go away, Ben commands. The worm ignores him. It slithers over to the cooler and flips it open with the end of its tail, grabbing a beer with its thin lips and swallowing the can whole.
Did you see the child?
It asks.
Did you see them getting merry?
Ben sits back down in his chair and picks up the fishing pole. He removes a fresh worm from his cup of dirt and stabs it with the hook. Is this your child? He asks the creature, casting the hook into the water.
Not this one,
Says the thing. It slithers up beside him and looks out into the water. It looks up the sky and then out into the forest.
I see green trees.
It sings.
Roses, too.
It looks at Ben, getting right up into his face.
For me and you.
It slithers around his chair, head raised and swaying like a cobra.
And I say,
It crawls onto his lap and stares him in the eyes, droning.
what a wonderful world.
Ben yells and grabs the serpent on the face, squeezing. There's no skull underneath, and the skin breaks like flan. One of its big black eyes pops, sending creamy pus and blood trickling down his arm. He throws the creature down at his feet in disgust and wipes the slime on his pant leg. The worm lies there, unmoving, dead. Ben breathes a sigh of relief and sits back in his chair. He came here to fish, and that's what he's gonna do, even if he is dreaming. Especially if he's dreaming. He feels something brush up against his leg, slimy and warm. And then another something, and then several. He looks down. Black tendrils are pouring out of the worm's mangled neck, coiling themselves around Ben's ankles. He feels a sting as they begin to pierce his flesh. He screams and tries to pry them off, but fails. The sky darkens and the waves begin to rise, rocking the boat violently, threatening to overturn it. Hot rain begins to fall. First a trickle, then a stream, then finally a torrent of black acid, burning his skin as it drenches him. Lightning splits the sky, followed by the deafening drums of thunder. The air begins to ripple around him like the water below, distorting and corrupting the previously idyllic scenery. The ripples begin to intensify and the air is torn. Glowing red fissures are opening in the fabric of space, bleeding a malevolent crimson plasma into the world. Insects fly out from the fissures. An impenetrable swarm of mutant locusts, covering every surface and drowning out all other sound with their evil buzzing. He can feel them chewing on his already burnt flesh, burrowing their way into his bones and organs, tearing him apart. He screams himself awake. He's back in the world of sunshine. No worm, no fissures, no locusts. He lets out a tortured sigh and sits up. The fishing pole is still propped up against the side of the boat. He grabs it and reels it in. Some fish seems to have gotten the better of him. There's no more worm on the hook.